And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fleming Film Show. Me, Robbie Fleming, and you got the full house today. You got Cody and Justin. Hello, guys.
Was
Hey,
that a
hey.
pun for me?
Nick, did you normally do the TV stuff?
Well, you
And
said a full house because that's my last name.
yeah, but we don't have your whole family in it, Cody. Just you.
Also,
Well,
didn't you guys just do your favorite sitcoms, which is Full House, but be credited as one?
We still need to do that, Cody. We'll do
yeah, we
that
do.
for next week. Yeah, but today I brought you two on to talk about a very special man. He's one of the greatest modern film directors of all time. He's bringing out a new movie either the end of this year or next year or whatever. It's called The Killing, and because it's October and he's brought out some creepy movies, let's talk. Let's rank our favorite to favorite David Fincher movies.
So that's why we're doing it, because it's October, because I remember you wanted to do this around the time The Killer was being released, but we don't know when it's going to be released. We know probably next year.
Probably
Because
next year now.
nothing's been announced. It's already wrapped production, though. But, yeah.
No one else has been announced actor-wise.
What else do you need? It's David Fincher, Michael Fassbender, Tilda Swinton about a hitman. I'm sold. That's all I needed to know.
Actually, to be honest, that's all I need. I know you're a fan of Fincher. Justin, what do you think to David Fincher overall?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a director's guy, but turns out that I like most of his movies, but none of them are in my top 25, top 30 movies of all time. So,
Oh, that's a shame because one of them has a special place in my heart, which I'll talk about later.
We know. Can you talk about it more?
Well, you're not supposed to talk about it.
Yeah, besides, I'll talk about it more when I get to it. But right now, I want to kick things off with my least favorite David Fincher movie. Are you ready for this?
Is it the obvious one?
Yes, it's the obvious one. It's Alien 3. Now, do not get me wrong. I love the Alien franchise, but this is my least favorite film in the franchise. And it's not David Fincher's fault at all.
You like Alien Resurrection more than this movie?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, hot topic, I know. But yeah, the things I do like about this movie are Sigourney Weaver and the supporting cast. The two that stand out to me the most are two underrated British actors: Charles Dance, who later appears in another David Fincher movie, and Cody will know this guy, Mr. Paul McGann.
You forgot Charles S. Dutton, who's not a British actor, but I think he is amazing in this movie.
He is
I
amazing.
agree.
He is
Very,
amazing
very
in this
good.
movie.
Yeah, Charles Dance is he's a Tyrannosaur.
Yeah, he's Tywin Lannister. Yeah, he's the
I put his whole name together.
he's the patriarchal figure in that family lineage.
My favorite story is that he learned how to cut open like deer and stuff so he can make it believable on screen in Game of Thrones.
Nice.
So
Well, that's such a great scene too. So that's even cooler that he learned how to do it, because like that's just a master class of acting right there.
It's just a shame when he left the show, it went downhill.
Yeah. Can't have a perfect series, I guess.
No, and unfortunately, Alien isn't a perfect film franchise, and this is one of the films that lets it down. But like I said, good acting. I like kind of the idea. It's just how he was like, how he didn't get to do it the way he properly wanted to, just lets the film down.
Well, this is his directorial debut, right?
This is his feature film debut. Before this, he mostly did music videos, and before he directed music videos and commercials, he worked in special effects at ILM.
Well, it doesn't show in Alien 3.
Right, is yours, guys, number 11 Alien 3, or have you two gone with difference?
What do you got, Cody?
Mine is not Alien 3. And in fact, I implore both of you to watch the Assembly's cut of this movie. And I think it's amazing, as much production problems as that movie had, that it still feels a lot like a Fincher film that came out. And I think it's a lot more interesting than some of the other subsequent Alien films that followed. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. So my number 11. So I like all these movies. All 11 movies to me are rock solid to great. And this one was only the second time I'd ever watched this movie. And I still like it quite a bit. But Justin, you always talk about a movie needs that rewatchability factor for you. And this one just didn't have it, even though it has top-notch performances from Gary Oldman and Amanda Seyfried and even Charles Dance. And I know what they were doing with the parallels of the story, that the script of Citizen Kane following his life, but I think I would have much preferred a movie about the making of the movie and maybe more of Mank and Orson Welles their turmoil with each other. But for me, I'm putting Mank at number 11 because it's the one I don't really want to rewatch that much.
I like it more than you do, Cody.
It's not a bad movie at all. It's just the one I don't want to rewatch.
Get what you're saying, because the acting is the best thing about that movie, and it really showed that he was a good contender for Best Director.
And I do like that it feels like it's a movie that was made in the 40s. I love the look. I love the cinematography. I think personally I would have preferred it to be more about the making of the movie than what it turned out to be. And also Gary Oldman is like 20 years older than the person he's supposed to be playing. So I love Gary Oldman, but they probably could have...
David Fincher and Gary Oldman were married to the same women.
Yeah, I did know that. That's interesting.
Big baby.
Yeah, so their kids are probably all related to each other.
So this just doesn't have that rewatchability for me.
That's too bad. I know it's higher on Rob's list over there, and it's definitely higher on mine. So we'll talk more about this movie later. But me
and you love old timey cinema stuff, don't we, Justin?
Yeah, for the most part. I'll do the Rotten Tomatoes for it once we all three have talked about it, the movie. So yeah. Anything else to say about Mank, Cody?
No, I think it's just a solid, well-made movie, and that monologue Gary Oldman gives at the party is an all-time great.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot. All right, my number 11 is one that I would sit down and watch with my dad. I think maybe I should just give it a rewatch as an adult because it might have some more fun. Well, not fun, but it might mean more to me than it did when I was younger. This is number 11 just for those reasons alone, and it's starring Michael Douglas and Sean Penn, and it's called The Game.
No, that's actually fair. It's not even in my top 5. I'm not in the panic this time. It's a fair choice.
Yeah. I just I think this is.
Yeah, I'll explain more when I hit to it. But go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, this is just like it's my dad's movie. This is a movie that's made for dads. It's just suspense and thriller, and maybe it's just a little too complicated, I think, for a teenager or a young child to see.
Yeah.
But also it's like seeing Michael Douglas as another like banker person, has money. It's just we've seen it before.
Have you guys ever seen Falling Down?
Yeah, he's great in that. That's one of his best performances.
That's his best performance, in my opinion. I still need to see the Wall Street movies, but I do love Falling Down a lot.
But I do think that this is the beginning of like Saw movies. You know, this is sort of like the way that like a movie like Saw kind of came about, where you have to play.
I see where you're coming. I see where you're coming along.
Yeah, this is a much more tasteful version of that, though.
No, I know, but I'm saying to play games to get
right.
to, wherever survival of whatever you think is survival. But yeah, it's a tougher movie. It's a little more like, I feel like Fincher movies are very, one way, the other, moves around, and this one's a little more straightforward but hard to understand. So that's why it's my number 11.
Nice. No, we all have fair choices. Those are all fair choices. I think I'm a little bit more annoyed with Cody's than Justin's, but at the end of the day, it's all down to opinion.
Yeah.
It's just a rewatchability factor. I
exactly.
may come back to Mank in 5 years and be like, Mank's a masterpiece, guys.
These are just our interpretations of his movies.
Yeah, I bet a few years down the line you may like a little more Code, but I mean, it's just tough after all. We're just talking about 11 movies here that it's hard to put them in best to worst, especially if you like them all.
I like all these movies, so this is just like me saying this is the one I kind of don't want to watch at the top of the pile. It's still a very good movie.
You ready for my number 10?
Let's
go for it.
Right, so my number 10 is a movie that is a remake. I've not seen the original version, but I've heard it's a lot better than this version. But this version is definitely well made because it's Fincher and he does his best to make this a good movie. But for me, it just doesn't hit home, and this is what I'm hoping the original one does. But he directed the English language version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
They're basically the same movie almost, except the Fincher version's in English. And, maybe Daniel Craig's a more dynamic, interesting actor than Michael Rehnquist was. But it's kind of the same movie. It's well made, but it's like you could just watch the Swedish version if you want to, and it would be the same movie.
But the Swedish version is better then.
Slightly. Only if you saw it first. There's probably people that love this movie because it's right up Fincher's alley. It's subjective themes.
It is. Brilliant acting. Rooney Mara is fantastic.
She got an Oscar nomination for this.
Yeah, if it wasn't for this role, she wouldn't be famous. My favorite performance of hers is Nightmare Alley.
She's really good in Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, really good.
It did win an Academy Award for editing.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Is that all you want to say about The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Yeah, just good performances, well made movie. Just didn't hit me compared to the other ones. Yeah,
I thought she was really good in Carol. You didn't like Carol?
I
still need to see Carol.
Yeah. She's also in Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yep, she's the voice in that.
Which I need to watch.
You do need to watch that. That's a really good movie.
Have you guys? Go ahead.
I'm started watching Lianka's films.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
I've never seen the Box Trolls though.
Oh, I've seen that. That's good. There's a movie coming out this year called Women Talking that she's in with Frances McDormand and Claire Foy. Yeah. Jesse Buckley. Oh my gosh.
It's weird that I heard directed by the woman from Dawn of the Dead.
She's directed quite a few movies.
Sarah Polley.
Yeah.
But I only know her from that one movie. I've not seen any other movies with her in.
Let's see. She's
in a lot of independent things, and she was the kid in Baron Munchausen.
Which I still need to see.
Also, have you seen Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot?
Is she in that?
A Rooney Mara movie, yeah, with...
Rooney Mara. That's with the...
Joaquin Phoenix.
Right.
They have a baby together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
name River after his brother.
Nice.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay. All right. What do you got? Number 10, Code.
Okay, my number 10 is a movie that some people love and some people I think hate because they feel like it's not a David Fincher movie or say it's just Forrest Gump over again, which it does have similar elements of Forrest Gump. But I think this movie was made primarily because David Fincher was attracted to the story because it deals with death, and he was just dealing with the death of his father when he was making this movie.
He
Or
was the writer of Mank.
yeah, and I like that he sets it in New Orleans instead of, I think in the short story it's Baltimore, and it does have incredible special effects. I almost put this at number 11, but this recent rewatch, I was a little moved by the end of the movie and the story. And I do think Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett have great chemistry. Just when I think of a David Fincher movie, this is, again, just not the one that goes up to the top for me, but it's still incredibly well made. And it might be his most sincere
I'd say
film
it's
he's
another
ever
one
made.
when they're into, they're also in Babel.
Yeah. So, yeah, number 10 for me is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Great movie.
It's a very good movie.
Yes, it's just a little bit higher for me because I did love it the two times I've seen all the way through.
Mahershala Ali's in it.
Yeah. I don't know what he was in before, but like I didn't know who he was when I saw this movie. So watching it again, it's like, hey, there's Mahershala Ali. Already knew who Tahara P. Henson was because of Hustle and Flow and Baby Boy and a few other things she had popped in.
I can do bad all by myself. That's a movie she was in. A Tyler Perry movie, actually.
This is a different movie for him and his filmography overall. Like, it's touching and sweet.
This is his first feature. He was in a TV series before.
Oh, wow. It's the
nice.
First feature movie. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Justin, how many Oscars was this nominated for?
Quite a few.
I know it won 3, and it was
Visual
nominated.
Effects, makeup, and something else.
I
13.
Should have got nominated for Best Actress.
It was
that one. I don't think it was nominated. Kate Blanchett didn't get nominated.
13 nominations. It won for makeup, visual effects, art direction. Nominated for Best Picture, Actor, Supporting Actress. Taraji, didn't know she had a nomination. Director, Writing, Cinematography, Film Editing, Costume Design, Music, and Sound Mixing.
Was that his first Oscar nomination?
Fincher's? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's the first time he got nominated.
For Best Director.
Nice. He's a great director. He deserves everything he should get.
Yeah,
this is a short... Sorry, go ahead.
He should already have an Oscar, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, he should have won one 10 years ago, but hey-ho.
That
was just for some Englishman who just makes whatever now.
F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote the short to Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Mm-hmm.
Legendary writer.
Legendary.
All right, Justin, hit me up with your number 10.
It's already been mentioned. Did not really enjoy it, but again, the game is just something that's a little too complicated for youngins. But Alien 3 was...
At least you have Justin, so you weren't obvious.
What did you say, Cody?
I said at least you didn't have it at number 11, like most people do.
Yeah. Thanks.
No. Well, I just think it's fine, but we were talking about visual effects and stuff, and when the alien is not like this close to you and it's just running around, like it's one of the worst CGI there.
Well,
it's just like
it's very early CGI, and I don't think they wanted to do CGI, but the studio was wanting to cut costs, so
I just use what you have already. Just keep using like the scary two-headed alien. Like just keep doing close-ups. It'll still be effective. But yeah, it was cool to see Peter Serafinowicz. Is that Or I mean Pete Postlethwaite. Haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sigourney's still badass as always.
Pete died 10 years ago.
Pete, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, it was great. I think Charles S. Dutton was definitely the best part of the movie. He was really rocking.
Not
Um,
Charles Dance.
He was okay. But yeah, I've realized that Fincher loves captivity. Watching this movie, it's all about captivity in some way, shape, or form. Even with the game, like he's stuck in the game, right? Alien, they're all stuck in this prison. She's in the prison, yeah, which I did enjoy that part of it. By the way, I like that. We were on a ship that was a prison instead of like like a ship that's out searching for these aliens.
You're absolutely right. All these films have a recurring theme of captivity.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it as it comes. But
in shape or form, because you're like my number 9. It's all about captivity.
Yeah. But yeah, I just realized that last night when I was watching this, and then like all of his movies they all have some sort of captivity theme to them in some way, shape, or form. So I wonder what that's about when it comes to Fincher. But yeah.
Well, yeah. Curious Case of Benjamin Button, like he's captured in his condition, and like he's
absolutely.
like.
Did you say Mank? It's the politics of the 30s.
Yeah.
Or the movie itself, right?
Yeah.
Mank writing it, or putting it together. It was his life. He was captive in that, But yeah, Alien 3 is. I haven't seen all of the ones in the franchise.
You've seen the first 2 masterpieces, right?
I've seen the first 2. I saw 2 first, and then went back and saw 1, and then now I saw 3.
That's understandable because 2 is probably more your thing because you like action.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this was just fine. It got a little boring and kind of repetitive, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't a bad way to spend a Tuesday night watching a movie. Yeah, so Alien 3 is my number 10.
Nice. So you ready for my number 9?
I do miss old school Sigourney though. I really do miss her. So
yes.
But yeah, bring on your number 9.
My number 9 is the movie that Fincher made after he made what I imagine a certain film that I'll talk about later. And I was just really, really, really disappointed in this one. I wanted to love it because it was Fincher and had all the right tools to make it a good Fincher movie. But I just found this movie a little bit long-winded, and it's called Panic Room, starring Jodie Foster, Kristen Stewart, Forrest Whitaker, and Jared Leto.
Don't forget Dwight Yoakam.
And Dwight Yoakam, yes, I was thinking about his name. He's actually really good in this. But yeah, Jodie Foster is an actress that I love. I'm not so big on Kristen Stewart, but I just want to see how she would work under Fincher's direction. And he does get solid performances out of the cast, but because it's kind of like a bottle movie, and he probably didn't have much of a budget after making like Seven and The Game and Fight Club, which were quite big budgets, he just made this more reserved movie, and it had a good premise and it had interesting things about it, but I just didn't really fall in love with it compared to the others, and that's why I had to put it at number 9.
Did you say Nicole Kidman?
Jodie Foster.
Yeah, she was originally supposed to be the lead, but dropped out.
She's a voice. She's Steven's girlfriend on the phone.
Oh.
Also, Cody, you said you just watched Bros?
Yeah.
There's a funny Jodie Foster joke in there.
There is. Yeah, there is. I laughed pretty loudly when that happened.
How? Just real quick, how was your theater? Was it packed?
No, me and my wife were the only two people in the theater.
Same. We were the only two as well, which Billy Eichner kind of has something to be mad about, I think.
Well, in my area, that might be a little bit right, but I wonder if like releasing it at the 1st of October was a good idea.
I know, totally. Yeah, smelled it better. But
Well, that makes.
go ahead.
I was like, that makes sense. People want to see something spooky right now.
Exactly.
Which is Panic Room, right, Rob? Spooky.
Well, I might give it a rewatch one day to do a full review because I've not done full reviews of Panic Room yet or Alien 3. But I'll have to.
Do you like Jared Leto in this movie?
I like what happens to Jared Leto in this movie.
It's not his best performance in the Fincher movie.
Oh, you think the other one is a better performance? Even though I didn't do much in that one.
It's about what you do in the time, not how long you're on screen for, Cody. Do I need to discuss Anthony Hopkins and Silence of the Lambs to prove my point?
I just don't think he does much in that movie, but I also don't like Jared Leto, so I like what happens to him in that movie too.
You're not a 30 Seconds to Mars fan then, Cody?
No, I did not like 30 Seconds to Mars when they were somewhat popular.
I love them. Well, we all know his best performance is Suicide Squad, so we'll just talk about that.
I was going to say Requiem for a Dream, but okay.
Yeah, that's probably the one I would say too.
Well, he won an Oscar.
Yeah, that's definitely his second best performance. Oscar win. He was fantastic.
Maybe, yeah,
Next
it's okay.
Suicide Squad, I get you.
Right, so is your number 9 Panic Room, Cody?
No. Panic Room, I'll talk about it in a little while. But no, you already mentioned my number 9, and I think it is a very rock solid movie. It's very well made. It looks great. I love the cover of the opening of the song. The casting's perfect. Craig and Mara are great. Christopher Plummer's great. Stellan Skarsgård is so good. Robin Wright.
Yeah.
This is stuff right up Fincher alley, and I think had this not been a remake, this would be higher on my list. But because it's kind of been there, done that, it just feels like a really well made interpretation of something that already exists. And it is a shame that they didn't get to make the series, because I know Rooney Mara and David Fincher were very excited about doing the other two films, but maybe not release this very dark, nihilistic movie around the holiday season. But yeah, my number 9 is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. But yeah.
You're in the same way again, Cody.
What's that?
Can you listen to Enya in the same way again?
No, that's a pretty frightening version of Sail Away. But yeah, it has everything we know and love about other Fincher films. It's about obsession. It's investigative. It's about trying to piece the clues together and figure something out. These are recurring themes. Besides being captive, like the obsessiveness of a character is another thing we see in Fincher films.
Who's the girl who does the original?
Naomi Rapace. She was in Prometheus.
Rapace, yeah.
And Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, she's in the second Sherlock Holmes movie.
Yeah, she's good.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's
really
that.
Like...
And I think that's the only thing that's wrong with this movie, is that it's just like this movie already exists. They didn't need to make the remake, but with the shim of Fincher involved, people were like, okay, it's cool.
Well, I think when foreign films or international films become popular, they want to make the American version. I mean, that's why Another Round will be made, and others. Downhill was also force majeure or something like that.
Justin, I rewatched Titane last night. I do not want an English version of that.
Yeah, I don't think that one's as popular though.
No. It needs to become popular, but it doesn't need an English language.
I think the best one of those is The Departed still, but I saw The Departed before I saw Infernal Affairs.
I still need to see Infernal Affairs for that.
It's well made, but I prefer actually the American version. No disrespect to Infernal Affairs, but I think Scorsese made it enough of his own in that one. It was just a little
Definitely.
different from Infernal Affairs, even though it had the same
Definitely.
plot.
Right, we're half an hour in.
There's-
Justin hasn't even told this is 9 yet.
Also, no, I know this is going long. The cast from The Departed, I'm sure, beat out whoever's in Infernal Affairs or Internal Affairs.
Yeah, it's like, you
Yeah.
know, it's an all stacked cast.
Yeah. Speaking of all stacked cast, my number 9 is a very, very stacked cast. This is one of those rewatchability ones where it's a little bit, you know, obviously once you know what happened, you don't really need to keep going, especially because of the ending of this movie. But it is fun, and it's a great cop thriller starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Mark Ruffalo, and Robert Downey Jr. My number 9 is Zodiac.
No, that's fair enough. Sorry, Cody, it's not that much higher than Justin's.
Yeah, it's a solid film, but I mean, we know, you know, what happens and what doesn't happen, and you know, it's a very, very good mystery thriller crime drama. This is one that is by the book, definitely, you know, doesn't really do anything that makes you, you know, it's just so, this one's straightforward, kind of like The Game, and that is, Fincher really bobs and weaves, and this one doesn't bob or weave, so.
Yeah.
But I love that it's a period piece. I love, you know, the old school look that it has, and the actors in it, of course, are amazing.
Yeah, there is an amazing cast.
This is during the time when Robert Downey Jr. was Iron Man.
It was right
Yeah.
before.
And still
But he'd
was
already
great.
been cast.
Right.
Yeah.
Still was great. This is, yeah, right before he launches his Marvel career. So, very good. Very good. Chloe Sevigny's in it. Dermot Mulroney as well.
John Carroll Lynch is great.
Brian Cox.
I got a lot to say later, but yeah, this is stacked with so many good actors.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is based off of the Zodiac Killer, so set in San Francisco.
Right, I'll talk more on that movie, but I am going to talk about my number 8, and it's bounced back on Cody's, and it's The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Nice.
So yeah, like Forrest, this is very much like Forrest Gump. Who wrote the screenplay?
It's the same screenwriter, Eric Roth, who wrote the screenplay for Forrest Gump. I don't know if that's a coincidence or...
No, he's an amazing screenwriter, for one.
Eric Roth.
Yes, I forgot. That was the other actor I forgot was in this film, Jared Harris.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good in it for his little moment of time he has.
I like Al Fleming as well.
Well, he's got more screen time than your girl does in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, this writer also wrote Dune, A Star is Born, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, The Good Shepherd, Munich, Ali, The Horse Whisperer, The Postman. I mean, come on. This guy is classic.
He's got some all-timers in there.
Yeah.
What do you like about this movie, Rob?
I just like the story and how interesting Benjamin and Daisy are as people. I think Kate Blanchett is more the protagonist in this because she's narrating the story, and Benjamin's kind of like the subject, but Brad Pitt does a good job. It's not one of my favorite Brad Pitt performances, as his other two films of Fincher's are extremely better, but Brad Pitt and David Fincher go hand in hand when they make a film together. I've been wanting them to redo a film together for a while now. I hope they do one in future.
Well,
get more dramatic.
One almost happened, but the thing that Fincher learned from Alien 3 that he's kept on from now on is when he's developing a project, he tells the studio what the budget's going to be. And if they say they can't afford to make the movie at that budget, he walks away. He just doesn't do it. He's like, I'm not even going to fight with you. If you don't want to make the movie at this price, then I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah. Netflix must be offering whatever he wants.
At the moment, yeah. I mean, Netflix, I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to keep that up, but, that's a filmmaker's dream where they're like, just do what you want.
But yeah, solid movie, solid performances. I can't say no to Kate Blanchett or Tilda, so.
There you go. Yeah, you can't.
I don't even fancy them. I just love them as actresses.
Well, they're incredible.
I definitely thought that Brad Pitt was going to win for this performance this year.
In 08?
Case. Yeah.
There was like 3 other performances that were like favored to win.
Well, I know, and the one that won,
Sean
obviously.
Penn in the win and not Mickey Rourke.
Sean Penn did win, but Mickey Rourke Mickey Rourke and Franklin Jello were also both very heavily, like, people were battling for them to win.
My favorite performance in that year was Colin Farrell for In Bruges, but because he wasn't nominated, I would have had to give it to Mickey Rourke. I've not seen Milk, sorry.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So what's your number 8 then, Cody?
Well, you can all give a sigh of relief. My number 8 is Alien 3.
Yay!
It's not going to be that high up on the list. I know it's a deeply problematic production, and it's not. And this movie already had an incredible hurl to make even before it was made because it's following 2 movies that are masterclasses in their genres.
Yes.
But I think that it's a miracle that this movie's as good as it is because this movie could be a disaster and it isn't. And it's got incredible performances. And maybe because I look like I'm an extra in that movie, I don't know. But Charles S. Dutton is incredible. Sigourney Weaver, incredible. You guys got to find the assembly cut one day and watch it. It adds about 30 minutes to the movie, and there's a whole subplot with Paul McGann's character. But, I mean, it's got good acting. It took a ballsy move, even if it made a lot of fans upset when it came out, and it has a downer ending. But this is a far more interesting movie than what future franchise films would make. And this is much better than Alien Resurrection and Alien Covenant, for sure. This isn't a great movie, but it's a deeply interesting and flawed film, and it definitely shows all of the themes and subject matters Fincher's obsessed with. Like you said, Justin, captivity, it's industrial, it's very nihilistic, it's dark, and he took the franchise back to its horror roots as well. And I appreciate that. Yes, the CGI is not great.
Justin love action.
What?
I love action, and so does Justin.
Okay, but I love the first. I love action too, but I like that he took it back to the original film's kind of elements, and it is a spooky movie.
Yeah,
it's not great, but I think it's definitely better than what it could have been, and it definitely showed that Fincher was a talent behind the camera, even with all the studio interference.
Yeah, and it's a big movie to take on as your first go at a feature film.
Yeah, it's a franchise movie. And that's probably why the studio interfered with it as much as it did, because he was a first-time filmmaker.
Why didn't he make 7 first?
The script hadn't been sent to him yet.
Plus, he needed time. It would not be as good as if he didn't.
I think he needed that experience to make 7 as good as it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Alien 3 had a box office. Its budget was $50 million, and its worldwide gross was 159.8. So did really well. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 47%, audience score 46, and IMDb 6.4.
It has turned around. It's got a little bit of a cult following now.
It's 3 times the suspense, 3 times the danger, 3 times the terror. Alien cubed.
And your number 8, Mr. Doyle?
Has already been talked about, is Panic Room. Yeah, this is fun. This is a fun movie. You know, it's scary because you obviously, if this were to happen to you, I mean, pretty frightful. But it's always funny to think about, like, what would you do, what you would have done differently, you know, and who knows if I would have survived. But yeah, this one's smart. It takes place pretty much all in one, you know, area, and can still drive the film pretty, you know, throughout the hour and 52 minutes, which is one of Fincher's shortest movies, by the way, which is crazy.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't think, because I think most of his movies are like 2 hours and 15 minutes or longer.
Yeah, so far Alien 3 and Panic Room are the shortest at an hour and 52, hour 54. But yeah, all the same reasons that previously mentioned. Jodie Foster's great. I think this is one of the first introductions to Kristen Stewart, right?
It's got to be, because she's still a kid.
Forrest Whitaker, Dwight Yoakam, Jared Leto, just a bunch of numbskulls.
I love Forrest Whitaker.
The Three Stooges in the movie. But yeah, pretty scary. I think this is to me like Scream, where it's something like this could actually happen, and that's why it's so scary. But yeah, Panic Room is my number 8.
Kristen Stewart was also uncredited in Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas in 2000 and 2001. She was in The Safety of Objects.
Okay.
Viva Rock Vegas.
Yeah, it's a sequel to the Flintstones, but with a whole different cast.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's a prequel, right? It's a prequel.
Yeah. King Robert from Game of Thrones is Fred Flintstone.
Is Fred. Isn't Stephen Baldwin Barney? I guess he wasn't a born-again Christian yet.
What's wrong with Rick Moranis? He was hilarious.
Well, yeah. Well, he probably retired because Moranis hasn't acted a lot since his wife passed away.
No, he hasn't.
Poor guy. Okay. What's number 7?
Already mentioned, it's The Game.
The Game.
This is a movie what
That's my number 7 too.
I knew this was gonna happen.
Cool. Talk about it, guys.
This is a movie where I can see Michael Douglas getting an Oscar nomination and Sean Penn getting a Razzie.
Well, Justin, you talk about like you've seen this before with Michael Douglas, but you got to think back in 1997. This is kind of like at the end of Michael Douglas's movie star run, and this is like makes perfect sense to like cast Michael Douglas in this movie. I think the thing that hurts this movie is it's Fincher's film directly after 7, but I think this is a very competently well-made, well-constructed thriller of its time period. I think the ending kind of hurts the movie a little bit, but
I like how it's a lot high, like hot and twist. There's like David Fincher that normally likes to end on a low one.
Yeah, I mean it is a bit refreshing. It's kind of interesting. This is the only Fincher film to get a Criterion Blu-ray too. Maybe because it's kind of the underrated Fincher film. But it's a solid thriller, and yeah, I don't think it's great, but it's a fun watch. Also, like, you guys like Game Night, the movie?
Yeah.
This is kind of like, that's like the comedy of this.
You're not wrong there.
Like, but yeah, this is like good. It's a good, solid, old school Hollywood thriller they don't make anymore. They don't make these kind of movies anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a Netflix series now.
When they're having their argument and Sean Penn's just all whiny, you can tell how he was trying to act better than Michael Douglas and it wasn't working.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because I don't think Michael Douglas is like giving a great performance, but this is like a kind of performance Michael Douglas can do in his sleep because this is kind of like what he did. This was like his wheelhouse.
Definitely.
Like, because he had made this persona all through the 80s and 90s of the kind of actors he was playing, characters. So much so that when he was cast as the president and the American president, they're like, why are you casting Michael Douglas as the president? He's sleazy.
Some presidents are.
Yeah. But in
Anything?
1995, I guess we weren't used to that kind of president yet.
You weren't used to JFK?
Well, as much as that's JFK's discretions alone, he's a very much admired political figure in some people's circles.
I love him for his politics. It just obviously the womanizing. He is a bit sleazy for that. I get it.
David Fincher claims that there's a can of haggis in every scene in the movie because haggis is the nickname of the cinematographer in the movie.
Do you guys know what famous filmmaker has a cameo in this movie? Spike Jonze. He's a paramedic.
Nice.
And David Fincher would later show up in Being John Malkovich.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in that. He's in it.
But Justin, what are the scores?
7.7 on IMDb. Its budget was $50 million. Worldwide gross is 109.4. 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, 84% for the audience.
Wow, that one surprises me that the audience score is higher than the critic score.
Yeah, I'm surprised too, but we're all critics our own way.
Yeah, but I guess back in '97, people were like, "Yeah, this is good."
Probably. All right, Justin, hit up with yours.
Sorry to mention, Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's a long one, sitting at 2 hours, 46 minutes. But yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. The concept of it all is just kind of mind-blowing. Being born an old man, transforming and, becoming younger as you get older. And then there's that perfect middle ground, where that would be like the height of your looks and smarts and everything, so it's so weird, just that whole concept. But it's fun. I mean, it's just so interesting, and yeah, the CGI in this is amazing. Visual effects are incredible, and like we've already talked about, the cast is just a 10 out of 10. Deserves its 3 awards and 13 nominations, and yeah, good to see Mahershala Ali in his first ever feature film, which I guess his real name.
The cinematographer is Claudio Morena, and he's done well this year shooting Top Gun.
I also love that it takes place, like the backdrop of this movie is around Hurricane Katrina, where Daisy's in the hospital with her daughter.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that little bit of it too, like giving it a little more, giving it that New Orleans flavor of like why they decided to set it in New Orleans.
Julia Ormond is in it.
Mm-hmm.
She was Sabrina, which I remember with Han Solo over there. But yeah, solid film. Did all 3 of us talk about this yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're doing it.
All right, good stuff. And it's different than his other movies. This one has a lot of heart.
Yeah, I would say this is his most sincere and touching movie. Like,
7.8 on IMDb. $150 million budget, 335.8 worldwide. That's insane for an almost 3-hour movie, and being
That's
so
a drama.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being so big in like Oscar contention. Normally that doesn't happen. 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, 80% from the audience.
Nice.
What's coming in at number 6?
Already mentioned Zodiac. Sorry, Cody. Like Justin, it is a masterpiece. All these are the 5 movies I'm about to read out are all masterpieces in my opinion. But I can watch these 5 films all day long. Zodiac I've seen twice, and I don't really have many plans to revisit it anytime soon. There's these 5 I can just put on now and just have a great time too. Acting, cinematography, story, screenplay, all that's amazing. It's just rewatchability.
Yeah, and we know what happens.
Exactly. But we learn a lot about the case. We learn a lot about the case. I know Justin,
and the people involved, and yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And how captive these cops felt in this case,
Exactly.
This is also a curious case.
So hit me up then, Cody. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is probably the most conventional film David Fincher's ever made. It is him basically doing a popcorn movie. It is him kind of making his take on a Hitchcock movie. Kind of, he says he just wanted to do a date movie, like something you go see on a Saturday night with someone. And that's exactly what this movie is. It's self-contained. It's got a self-contained story. It's just a right down the middle thriller. It's entertaining. It's enjoyable. It's not the greatest movie, but it's just so good. And sometimes you just want to be entertained and watch a movie for 2 hours. And sometimes I wish more movies like this got made. It's Panic Room. It's got great performances from Jodie Foster, Forrest Whitaker. Dwight Yoakam is terrifying. He needed to keep his ski mask on. He was scarier without it on. One of the few times Jared Leto's not horrible in a movie. But yeah, this is a solid rock thriller. It's fun.
You scared me then. I thought you were going to say another film that I was thinking of, which is going to be my number 5. But yes, Panic Room.
Yeah, it's a solid rock thriller that is a lot of fun. And I think it is probably his most conventional Hollywood movie he's ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely see that.
But nothing wrong with it.
No. And it did well. 48 million was its budget. And worldwide gross is 197.1. 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, 63% for the audience score.
And how often is this referenced now? Like, even though it's not like on a great movie list or was one of the biggest hits of the year, like Panic Room gets mentioned all the time now because people have panic rooms or talk about Panic Room in some way. Like, this movie keeps getting referenced in our, like, in pop culture. So
if you have to have a panic room, something else is going on in your life.
What was the IMDb score, Justin?
6.8.
Yeah, 6.8. There you go, Cody. A 6.8 film.
I don't care what IMDb rates it, because there's a bunch of review bros on there who try to lower and higher.
And Alien so far is the lowest, is 6.4.
Rock solid movie.
Yeah.
So okay, and that's his lowest rated movie.
Yeah.
So Justin's number 6 is?
Oh, I'm gonna get some shit for this. This movie is great because you take a topic that everyone knows, but you don't really know everything about it, and you make a 2-hour solid feature about it. This movie gave us it spawned a cannibal, and also gave us a Spider-Man and a bald evil villain. This movie is The Social Network.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would be your
Great.
number one.
Yeah, I know. You were wrong. Great writing, obviously, Mr. Aaron Sorkin. The acting in this is incredible. I think the best actor in this movie is Andrew Garfield. I think his performance was so good. Maybe, probably one of my favorites of that year. But this movie is also really solid. Rooney Mara's in it. We talked about her a little bit. Justin Timberlake's in it. And Jesse Eisenberg is Mark Zuckerberg. And then, who's been taken from the IMDb list here, but Armie Hammer is also in this movie.
Is he not mentioned in the cast list anymore?
I mean, not
Wow.
in the top 20 right here, but you know, if you go deeper into it, you can find it. But this is just about the story of how Facebook, or if it was a true story, about how Facebook came to be, based off of a true story, and he kind of made it his own. And I think he did a great job. This is sort of like the Zodiac movie, where it's based off of something, and we kind of just follow his story along, and whether it's all truth or less truth, you still kind of buy it and dive right in. And I think Social Network is one of those really solid movies. Whether it's true or not, I guess we'll never know.
Right. I'll be talking about that later on, but I'm then into my number 5, which is the only movie I've seen of his at the cinema. This is a movie that I thought would have been big Oscar buzz, but it only got nominated for one, and that one was the driving point of the movie. It's an amazing performance from Rosamund Pike, and stars along Ben Affleck in this movie, where they play the worst couple in the world, but they're perfect together. And that movie is Gone Girl. Yes, one of the best adapted screenplays, as the author also wrote the screenplay. So it's clever how she wrote a screenplay based on her book and handed it to Fincher, and Fincher just makes it David Finchery and just makes a masterpiece out of it. Yes, Rosamund Pike is the driving force, but he's good at directing in this movie because of how solid he brings out these performances. Because Tyler Perry and Neil Patrick Harris, who mostly do comedy roles, should show off their more serious side and give strong performances out. And I do think this is just an overall solid movie, probably one of my favourites of 2014, and one that I need to rewatch again. My number 5 is Gone Girl.
Nice. What's your number 5, Code?
Well, you said you were going to get shit for putting The Social Network at number 6. The bros are probably coming out for me now. I love this movie. This used to be probably one of my all-time favorite movies, but I have gotten older. I have matured. There are a lot of things about this movie and it's not really the movie that infuriates me. It's people that love this movie sometimes, because I think they miss the point of this movie. This is a little bit of a satire, and it's a little bit of a social commentary on toxic. And so let me review of a meme of this movie. It's funny. But yeah, my number 5 is Fight Club.
It's also my number 5.
All right, let's.
Are you trying to gang up on me right here?
Let me see if I can find.
This movie is.
Am I trying to what?
Awesome.
You're not trying. Yeah, gang up on me.
It is. Yeah, no, we're not ganging
awesome.
up on you. It's just we prefer 4 other movies. Yeah, it's got a great twist. I think it kickstarts 21st century filmmaking. It's among some of the best films of 1999 that include The Matrix and The Sixth Sense. But here it is.
American Beauty.
First,
Cody, you're breaking up a little bit, bud. You kind of froze.
Cody.
He'll have to pop on. I'll talk about Fight Club a little bit. Yeah, or we won't talk about Fight Club, right? But yeah, this is just about a guy who kind of wants to change his life a
Fight
little
Club
bit.
is the best satirical gay rom-com ever made.
Cody, you froze up for a while. Cody, you froze up. You have to start back from the meme. We didn't hear anything you said after you said
sorry.
Let me show you this meme.
First watch, Fight Club is the best movie ever made. Second watch, Fight Club is a deep commentary on the dangers of consumerism. Third watch, Fight Club is a disgusting cesspool of toxic masculinity, not as deep as its fanboys think it is. Fourth watch, Fight Club is a critique of toxic masculinity and is deeper than its fanboys think it is. And fifth watch, Fight Club is the best satirical gay rom-com ever made.
Satirical gay rom-com? What kind of drugs have you been smoking?
Hey,
was basically in love with his imaginary friend. Spoiler warning for a 20-something-year-old movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say about this one, Justin?
Oh yeah, I mean it's just really, really solid. So far the highest on IMDb at 8.8. But yeah, I mean it is male driven. It is definitely for our eyes, you know.
I know women that like this movie.
Oh, well, talk to them about it, I guess. But I don't know anybody who's ever like that's female. It's like, oh yeah, Fight Club. I mean, it's just a male movie. This is a Rambo. This is a Rocky. This is just one of those movies, and you put Edward Norton and Brad Pitt in it, and Brad Pitt's at this time like one of the sexiest guys alive, right? But I do like how we never know the Edward Norton's name, and Meatloaf's great in it, and Helena Bonham Carter.
Helena Bonham Carter's amazing.
So good. Yes. This is based off of the book by Chuck Palahniuk, who has done some great work. I've read a couple of his books. I haven't read this one. But
I only found out the other day that he was gay, and he created the word snowflake.
Interesting. That's true. I think he is the first one that uses it in a derogatory term.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things in this movie that work really well, and then there's a lot of things in this movie that make you go, ugh. But I think it's more people, just the bro nature of it that hurts the movie. But it's still a phenomenally well-made movie that has a lot to say and has great performances. And the first time you saw this, you did not see that coming. But then if you go back, and then if you go back and watch it, you see glimpses of like knowing like what the outcome is.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a cop out too sometimes to
that's true.
See, stuff like that. It's almost like you didn't have an ending or something, but.
No, the ending of Fight Club is the best. This is one of the greatest scenes in cinema.
It also introduced me to the Pixies. I never heard of them before this movie.
Neither did I.
It's good stuff.
Yes.
It rules, but I like 4 movies a little bit more. They've grown in a more appreciation for me.
Fair enough. Are you ready for my number 4?
Do it.
All right, so this is going back to Cody's last place, and it's Mank. I love this movie purely because it dives into the mentality of a writer. As a writer myself, I relate to Mank because it's trying to show his psychological nature of being a writer and what he goes through in Hollywood. And Gary Oldman is just perfection in this role. This is one of his best performances to date. And yet you have Charles Dance, you have Lily Collins, you have a lot of other good actress, but the one actresses and actors, but the one that stills it for me the most is Amanda Seyfried, because even though she's only in 15 minutes of that movie, she makes every single second count that she's on stream, so she's always the one thing you're looking at.
Is that all her screen time is 15 minutes?
Practically.
Wow.
What movie? Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, did you know, Justin, she was one of my favourite performances of 2020.
Yep. And I made that same argument where she wasn't even in it that much.
Yeah, but would you make the argument about Anthony in Silence of the Lambs?
I would argue it, yes.
Yeah, because he's in the movie less than 20 minutes, but it's really not his movie.
It's Jodie's.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. Who's next?
Cody.
You are.
Okay. This is a phenomenally well-made movie, and this movie really works well, not only as like a commentary on media and our obsession with true crime. It also is kind of a commentary on Ben Affleck himself as a movie star and his career, and just how messed up people are, and like our preconceived conceptions of what we want someone else to be in a relationship. And it's a deeply disturbing and deeply fascinating film with an incredible performance by Rosamund Pike. I mean, she is terrifying. She is capable. This is a great movie. I love it. Like Robbie mentioned, Tyler Perry's great in this as like a Johnny Cochran type of lawyer. And Neil Patrick Harris is equally pathetic and creepy at the same time. And Carrie Coon just being solid. But my number 4 is Gone Girl. This movie just grew for me on rewatch.
Carrie Coon's getting big.
Yeah, and Gillian Flynn, great. Another movie you should check out that she wrote is Widows, which is really underrated and underappreciated.
I've seen the movie.
I've seen it.
And I'm kind of sad that they didn't get to do that Strangers on a Train remake with her and Fincher and Affleck involved. That would have been cool.
That would have been cool. But do revenge rules.
Great. I will talk about that next, but my number 4 has already been mentioned. To me, this is exactly what you said, Cody. If you haven't seen the one before, then you're gonna love this. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I knew it as a book series and that it was coming out, internationally. But then when we got this, it just blew me away. I think it hits all the marks that I like. There's some action in it. There's good writing. There's good acting. And yeah, it has some horrific things in it. But it's weird what people like journalists will do and go through to figure some things out and find some things out. I mean, and then what happens? Like, do you get praise, or do you just really want to solve this mystery or whatever? I don't know. But Daniel Craig was awesome in this movie. Rooney Mara was amazing in this movie. And Stellan's always good. Robin Wright. Joey Richardson, who was in Nip Tuck, I really enjoyed her a lot. But she's so badass in this movie, Rooney Mara. And, it's a strange, weird movie, but it really worked. And I haven't seen the international one, but I would like to, just to see how real close it is.
Justin, we should do that as a video for you.
Oh, cool. That'd be awesome.
Yes, I've not seen that one.
There was a movie that came out with Rachel Weisz and Daniel Craig around the same time that seemed really similar.
Oh, I think that was like a Supernatural, though, type of movie.
It started with the D.
I guess that's where they hooked up.
Defiance.
Oh, no, that's a war movie.
Oh, no. Then, that's not it. 2011. Dream House.
That's it. Never seen it, but I think...
Same year.
but I think it's like a spooky movie or
Sounds
something.
forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
they became a married couple, so I guess it was memorable for them.
Exactly.
I liked both. I thought he had a great year, except for Cowboys and Aliens. But in
He's in
2011,
Tintin that year too. Yeah.
yeah, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Adventures of Tintin, Dream House, and Cowboys and Aliens, and also a short, the Organ Grinders Monkey. But big year for him, and I really enjoyed, yeah, all of it, mostly all of them.
You ready
that
for
year.
my number 3 once you
Let
read
me-
out the score?
Yeah, I'll read out the score real quick. 7.8 on IMDb. Box office is not here. Oh, here we go. 90 million worldwide gross, 232 million, and the Rotten Tomato score and audience score are the same at 86%. He's always so far has had successful movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All of
even
these.
I think even though some of them weren't hits financially, they're well liked for the most part.
Mhm.
Even Alien 3, that is his least liked movie, has like a cult following. Like they're supporters of it. And they don't
Yes,
think it's as bad as others say it is.
definitely. So you ready for my number 3?
What is the bronze?
Already been mentioned, The Social Network, the film that he should have won Best Director for.
Also my number 3.
I
Brilliant.
was going to say it has to be if we're counting what's left.
Well, it could have
Yeah.
been my number 1, but it's not.
Yes,
No,
this is
we
every,
know
this
what
is
your
every
number
hipster
one
fanboy's
is.
favourite movie. This is every film student's favourite movie.
Has it become that one? Is it the Pulp Fiction or
Yeah, bits of Pulp Fiction. I think Inglourious Bastards has gone up there as well.
like I'm
And
trying to think.
Whiplash.
But I mean, it's so well made, and like it continues to be an effective and relevant film. Like that speech Rooney Mara gives to him at the bar where she just eviscerates him
Oh, that's
is
brilliant.
so on point for internet culture right now, and like how many bros on the internet are. Like it's just phenomenal. But yeah, Andrew Garfield is great. Jesse Eisenberg,
Zuckerberg is spot on as
spot
Mark
on.
Zuckerberg.
Yes, maybe they were a little too nice. The dialogue sharply written. Crackerjack from Aaron Sorkin. The score.
How is that man so great at writing screenplays?
I mean, he's a good writer. He just maybe doesn't need to be directing things.
No. He should have stopped after trial.
But an amazing score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Yes, this movie should have won Best Picture, and David Fincher should have won Best Director.
No. I do like The King's Speech.
The King's Speech is fine. It's a perfectly decent, well-made Oscar movie. But are we talking about The King's Speech 10 years later? No.
Yeah,
Are we talking?
I talk about The King's Speech 10 years
Yeah,
later.
I thought Social Network was going to be the Best Picture winner for sure.
No, I knew that was going to win Best Picture. I just thought Fincher was going to win Best Director.
But here's the thing. We're still talking about The Social Network all the time because it's becoming more and more. Because I think people thought, oh, this is just of its time. It's prestige. It's not going to be relevant. Here we are a decade later, and a lot of people, this not only is it number 1 for a lot of people's Fincher list, like this was on a lot of best of the decade list as the number 1 movie of the decade. Like this movie was so well made, and it's still topical, and maybe it was too nice to Mark Zuckerberg.
But let's just talk about a film that actually is the greatest film of 2010, and that's Inception.
Inception rules.
But
might be the last time Nolan wasn't overindulgent in a movie because his movies get longer and longer, except for Dunkirk. That wasn't long.
Yeah.
I love Dunkirk.
Yes, we'll rank Nolan at some point before Oppenheimer.
Okay.
So, Justin, what's your number 3? Are you going to do the scores first?
Oh yeah, let's do the scores. Social Network, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, 87% from the audience. Budget was 40 million. Worldwide gross 224.9 and 7.8 on IMDb. My number three, these have all been mentioned now, pretty much except for one. This
all
movie.
gonna have this. I think we're all gonna have the same number two.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. Yeah, this movie is everything that you guys have already said. The performance by Rosamund Pike is just amazing, and I like Ben Affleck in this movie.
I do too.
I do.
Yeah. Neil Patrick Harris is great. It's Gone Girl. This was one of my favorite movies of that year, 2014. I think the ending was amazing. The thrilling all the way up into the ending was awesome. And yeah, when you sort of don't know who to root for, you're just kind of bouncing all around as you get information. Really keeps you on your toes, and I think that's why this movie works so well. Tyler Perry's great, and yeah, Carrie Coon. I think this was like the launch of her career, is where she's headed now. She's headed in the Rosamund Pike direction, being in these great movies where she's acting. Her acting's amazing. Missy Pyle's in this as well. She's always fun.
Yes, she is.
Yeah,
Celia
playing like a
Ward.
Nancy Grace type. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do love that too, Justin, where like you don't know who you're supposed to be rooting for because it changes the reveals, and then you're like, oh, well, both these people are horrible and crazy.
Yeah. All of them.
And I love her monologue about Cool Girl. Like, that is so great and so on point too, like of what men perceive what they want out of a woman.
Her scene with Neil Patrick Harris is also unforgettable. So
yeah.
That is why it is my number 3, 8.1 on IMDb. Box office, I know it did well. 61 million. Oh my God. Worldwide gross 369.3 million. That might be the biggest deficit so far. And 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, 87% for the audience. All right, Rob, tell us what all of our number 2 is.
7.
Yep.
Yes. My number 2. Go ahead, Rob.
Yes. Because this whole thing has just turned into like a minute of 7 discussion.
Yeah. Well, certain directors do certain things well. Like, even though Scorsese's only made like 6 gangster movies, who does a better gangster movie than Scorsese? Who does serial killers better than David Fincher?
You're right.
He's great at it.
So what you're saying is, Cody, if they did decide to remake Titan, who should be the director for it?
I guess David Fincher, yeah. But I love that it's a procedural. It starts out as a procedural. You think you know where this movie is going, and then it completely twists its head on you. I think Morgan Freeman is fantastic.
Amazing. Brad Pitt's phenomenal. Gwyneth Paltrow is actually good in this movie. Kevin Spacey's phenomenal. RDRB's phenomenal. And the other guy from Scrubs, he's phenomenal.
Oh, John C. McGinley is a SWAT guy. Yeah, I just love the construction of this movie. And
what's in the box?
They almost didn't have that ending. They wanted a happier ending where like Brad Pitt goes in and rescues Gwyneth Paltrow, and Fincher was like, no. And Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt went up to bat, and he says like if they didn't get that, he probably wouldn't have made this movie and probably wouldn't be a filmmaker right now. So it's a lot of thanks to those two stars and their star power to get this vision across.
Howard Shaw does the music for this, Cody.
Yes, he does. And like the ending, like it does, even though we can kind of see that's where it's going, like it doesn't have the outcome normally what would happen in this type of movie when the cop kills the killer. Like,
you know, guys Brad like this Pitt more than the other 1995 Brad Pitt movie.
12 Monkeys?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was a great movie too, but I think I do slightly prefer this to 12 Monkeys, but
12
that's
Monkeys has the better Brad Pitt performance.
yes, he's more acting in that movie. This
Yeah,
is more Brad Pitt movie star role. Is
yeah.
what we kind of, and that's the other great thing about this movie is it plays on that cop dynamic too. This is not your typical buddy cop.
And it's
Oh,
their only case together. That's what the film's really documenting. It's the document of the only case between these two hardworking detectives.
and it's not like, oh, the veteran's gonna teach the young hot-headed rookie how to cool down and they're gonna become buddies at the end of the movie. It's just a really well-made movie, and there are so many movies that try to copy this movie and don't come anywhere near as good as this one.
Yes,
Yeah.
although no, I think I do prefer The Usual Suspects a little bit more.
Oh, of the better Kevin Spacey reveal 1995 movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is that an unpopular opinion or is that
I
fair enough?
don't think so. I think, The Usual Suspects is a very beloved movie, but now people have, conflicting feelings about loving that movie because it has Kevin Spacey in it and it
This
was
movie has
directed
Kevin
by
Spacey
Bryan
in the movie
Singer.
and everybody loves it.
well, you don't see him.
Yeah, you don't even see him till like the final 30 minutes of the movie. But when you go back and watch, it's him in those other scenes. And like, I guess because he's playing a despicable person, you're like, oh, okay, it's fine, I guess.
I think this movie is really smart, and
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of killing by the seven deadly sins, and is he justified? I mean, no, he's not justified for killing them, but do these people, deserve their outcome? That's for
I
you to
thought this
decide.
was going to be your number one for some reason, Justin.
You said my number one was going to be Social Network, so you're just striking out everywhere. Also, I love that this movie is actually called Seven N.
Yeah,
Because
that's
they
how I
put
felt it as well on
the number in it. This is pretty damn good. 8.6 on IMDb, and a big box office. 33 million was its budget. 327.3 million was its overall income. 82% on Rotten Tomatoes. 95 for the audience.
Great.
Okay, let's talk about what we already know is your number one, Rob.
Well, I guess I'm a film bro, Cody, because my number one is Fight Club. Do I need
Yeah,
to
you're
say more?
still young. You're still
This,
young.
this is my favorite film ever. I haven't watched it for a while, but I might have to give it a watch again to see if it definitely is still my favorite film ever. Yeah, I love the performances in this movie, the story, the twists, the turns. I have a theory that he's editing the movie, Tyler. Yeah, and that's what makes the editing the cinematography is one of the best. This is probably his best shot movie. The shots in Fight Club.
It's hard to do fight scenes, and then have them be seamless and not choppy. So, I can see that.
I do think this ushers in the 21st century filmmaking too, because I think this, along with The Matrix and The Sixth Sense, kind of brought in a new type of movie that was coming into Hollywood.
Was American Beauty more the traditional take?
Yeah, that would be a little more traditional, especially in that time
Same
period.
with the Green Mile.
Same, Green Mile is very traditional.
Yeah.
I love the Green Mile. It's just not as good as Shawshank.
Oh, 100%.
I was thinking of 8 Mile while you guys were talking just now, so I was like, how does that matter?
Oh, didn't come out in 99 and different movie.
No.
But yeah, Fight Club, I just love. It's just a movie that I've loved since I was a teen and will always love now. And yeah, I don't really have much to talk about. I spoke about it a lot. I'll probably have to retire it, like Justin has from the Fighter off lists.
Yeah, the Fighter and Friday and you know, I don't get to put Terminator 2 on lists much, but that would
Have you
be
guys
kind
done an
of,
action movie list?
No, we
no,
haven't.
because I'm sure there'd just be a bunch of Marvel movies on there for Rob.
No, there wasn't. No,
Uh,
I don't think
8.8 on IMDb for Fight Club. $63 million was its budget. 101.2 is worldwide gross, the least so far. 79% on Rotten Tomatoes and 96% for audience score.
yeah,
Justin, I just wanted to point out IMAX. I don't think Marvel movies are the greatest films ever.
but
Well, we just talked about our crushes or whatever, and you had 3 crushes from Marvel movies.
I watched the Marvel films, the Fast and Furious films for fun, not for critic and analyzation like Fight Club.
Oh, okay, that's good.
But interesting you bring up Fight Club the lowest, because I don't know, I guess its international score helped bump it up there, because I remember it being considered a flop when it came out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the critical
Well,
praise kind of turned around.
It was only 37 million here in the States and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like I remember some critics trashing this movie when it came out. So it was like after it came out on DVD. In fact, I remember Entertainment Weekly gave it an F, and then it later showed up as like the #1 DVD to buy.
Dang.
So
yeah,
like
it got more love afterwards.
Yeah, it became a huge cult thing, and you know,
8.8 on IMDb with 2.1 million people talking about. That's insane.
I know Cody has to wrap up soon, so.
Oh yeah, Cody, what's your number 1?
Okay, my number 1 is apparently a movie you guys think is just fine. That's okay, but I think this movie is his masterpiece because it's everything that is about David Fincher. It is obsession. It is investigative. It is people captive. They're not captive in a sense that they can't get out, but they want to solve this mystery. All 3 of these leads, it like eludes them. They're all phenomenal. Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, who may or may not play a different version of this character if he gets cast in the Steven Spielberg movie about the Bullet character, because the real life guy Ruffalo plays is McQueen based on Bullet. Jake Gyllenhaal is perfect in this movie. That scene with John Carroll Lynch in the interrogation is just absolutely frightening. And when they bust his trailer, it's so creepy. And just there's so many people that just pop in this movie for just a few minutes. Philip Baker Hall, Donald Logue, Elias Cortez, Chloe Sevigny, her. It's exactly what David Fincher does best. And like I said, nobody does serial killers better than David Fincher. And this is the crown jewel of what Fincher movies are about.
Yeah. It's a little long.
Yeah.
It's a little long, but I can't help it. It's his masterpiece. I love this movie.
What do IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes think, Justin?
7.7 on IMDb. This is the worst movie so far. $65 million budget, 84.7 worldwide gross. I do remember it not doing well.
I thought Alien 3 would be the weakest.
No. 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, 77 for audience.
That's box office lowest, though, right?
Yeah, for Fincher, that was the lowest.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you meant IMDb rating. Alien's still the weakest, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Aliens is still the weakest. That's 6.4.
I swear on these director ranks lists, Justin, you always pick the most recent film.
Does he?
No, that's not true at all.
No, because before Licorice Pizza came out, you put Phantom Thread as your number 1 Paul Thomas Anderson film.
It's still my number 1. But it's also my favorite. I mean, just because something was similar to another doesn't mean I always do. But This is the lowest making money for sure because it came out
This
during
didn't go to
pandemic.
theaters. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love a good movie that is about making movies, and this is a great movie about making movies. Mank is my number one David Fincher film. I think this is, I mean, I'm sure he's just been inkling to do a movie about Hollywood. And so he finally got to do it, and it was on a huge scale, nominated for a bunch of, Academy Awards. And I wonder if it was in theaters how it would do, because it doesn't, we can never know now. But I wonder if it would make any money or not. But yeah, this is just a solid film. One of my favorites of that year. And to be able to watch it at home on Netflix and still get the same sort of love for it that I did was really
I was
impressive.
meaning to rewatch it at some point.
I
Very
also
good.
think this is another movie. His dad, his late father, wrote the screenplay. So
Mhm.
It was the movie his dad wrote the screenplay for.
yeah.
Yep.
So, but it has all those same themes: obsession, captivity,
Yeah,
a bit
absolutely.
of nihilism in there.
Mhm.
I just wanted more
I'm pretty sure he wrote like notes next to it.
I wonder how it would have done in theaters too, but we also got to think of like, are we thinking in a non-pandemic world? Because I can't imagine they would have released it in theaters anyway.
No, I can see this being like a proper Netflix movie.
Well, I think in the non-pandemic world for sure. Also starring Lily Collins, she's great in this. And then Mr. Tyrion Lannister was great as well. The costume's really good. The production design is amazing in this, and to recreate a Hollywood, an old school Hollywood, because there's a point where they're standing outside at a fountain, and the sound design makes it sound like they're on the set, even though they really weren't. And I just thought that was really smart. And this movie is very memorable for me, which is why it's my number one. 6.8 on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, on IMDb. There is no box office for it, and let's see what good old Rotten Tomatoes gives it. 83% and 60% for the audience. Yeesh. So
Yeah, it's a very divided film too, and
yeah. I love a good black and white movie every once in a while. Great
You
job.
also like to look at Amanda's life, Fred, like I do.
She's all right. She's okay. I think Lily Collins is pretty.
Oh, Lily Collins is beautiful.
All right. Let's quickly count them down. My number 11 was The Game.
My number 11 was Alien 3.
My number 11 was Mank. Sorry, Justin. I still think it's a really good movie.
It's okay. Alien 3 was my number 10.
My number 10 was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
My number 10 was The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
I have for my number 9 is Zodiac.
My number 9 is Panic Room.
My number 9 is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Panic Room came in at my number 8 slot.
My number 8 was The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
My number 8 was Alien 3.
Curious Case of Benjamin Button came in my number 7 slot.
My number 7 was The Game.
The Game is also my number 7.
Social Network came in at number 6.
Zodiac got my number 6.
Panic Room, number 6.
And then Cody and I tied at number 5 with Fight Club.
My number 5 was Gone Girl.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got at number 4, Code?
Number 4 was Gone Girl.
I have Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
And my number 4 was Mank.
Number 3 for me was Gone Girl.
My number 3 was The Social Network.
Also, my number 3 was The Social Network.
We all matched on 2 with 7.
And my number 1 was Mank.
My number 1 was Fight Club.
And my number 1 was Zodiac.
Nice. Cody, give us your recommendation for the week in case you have to leave.
All right, my 2 recommendations for the week are 2 movies currently in theaters. One people are seeing, continue to see it. That's The Woman King. It rules. But if you're wanting some alternative programming to something spooky or award seasony, go see Bros. It's kind of sweet, delightful, and educational.
Yes. I mean, there's no reason for people not to see this movie. If you like rom-coms, which half the population does, you should be seeing this movie because that's what it is a romantic comedy. It's just about two guys who are in love instead of a guy-girl traditional relationship, but I laughed out loud a bunch of times. One of my favorite lines was when he said he looks like
one
the
of
older
my favorite dramas is about 2 cowboys who are gay.
Okay, good. Thank you for the reminder. But one of my favorite lines was when he says that he's what Evan Hansen looks like when he gets older. I just laughed so hard. Hilarious. But no, that movie is really funny, and I completely agree. People should be seeing it. Billy Eichner's hilarious. I do wish that he did more of his screaming. I know some people hate it, but I find it hilarious. Like when he took the injection of testosterone and was screaming in the museum. I thought that was just so funny. But yeah, so go check out Bros. My recommendation, I've seen some great ones, but I think people are already seeing Barbarian, so I'm not going to bring up that, but I really, really, really enjoyed the greatest beer run ever, or the greatest.
Really?
Yeah, it was awesome. It's on Apple TV Plus. It's starring Zac Efron. There's also
Russell Crowe.
some Russell Crowe in there, and some Bill Murray. And it's based off a true story about a guy who didn't go to the Vietnam War, but his buddies did, and he thought the best way that he can support them was just go to Vietnam and give them an American beer. So he goes into the trenches just to give beers to his buddies, and it has a lot of heart. We learned some things, about the war that maybe we didn't know, or maybe we did know and people just don't like talking about it. Zac Efron was maybe miscasted. I think somebody else could have done a little bit better than him.
This was better than his other film at the start of the year.
Firestarter. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah. But I really, really liked it. It's also directed by Peter Farrelly, who did Green Book, and my favorite comedy ever, Me, Myself, and Irene. So
I'm Dumb and Dumber, and There's Something About Mary, and all the other great comedy classics.
Sure, yeah, but not my favorite. Anyway, it's great. I highly, highly recommend it. Yeah, the greatest beer run ever.
Yes.
I was thrown off by the title for sure. The title's a little bit weird, but
yes. I watched that too. I would say it was above average. It wasn't as bad as the critics were saying it was, but I thought it was fun and entertaining for what it was. I just kind of wish that the performances shined a bit better.
Yeah. And I mean the ending is just kind of bleak, but I just thought overall it was really well done, and I love a good war movie, and to have something as silly as a beer being the reason why you're running through the war still work. I think it works. So that's my recommendation. What about you, Rob?
I'm going to recommend a documentary today.
Ooh.
If you
Is it Moon Age Daydream?
Yes.
Oh, I want to see this so bad.
Me too.
Yes, if you guys love David Bowie, it rules.
Yeah, I think even if you don't, I think it's just been really acclaimed. It's doing great. People in theaters are standing and jumping on the I
learned more about Bowie than I did with Marilyn Monroe when I was watching Blonde.
Well, one has been studied and detailed since 12 years ago, and the other is a fictionalized story on the person. So it's just a made up story. But yeah, it was good. Rob, the movie Moon Age
Yeah, it
Daydream,
was
it was
good.
good.
Yeah, it was
Best
good.
documentary of the year.
I still prefer Summer of Souls, and that's a brilliant documentary. But it keeps reminding me that I need to watch more documentaries.
Yeah, I just watched one called, it's on HBO Max, called Escape from Kabul. And that was really tough to watch, but it was a good documentary. Sweet. All right, Code, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at FilmNerd85. You can also check out my YouTube channel at Film Nerd. I'm doing some sort of weekly shows here and there on comic books and Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings sort of stuff. It's not consistent, but they're popping up on there. And then Video Store Rejects on YouTube and our Facebook group. We're going to be talking Prometheus this weekend. And then for spooky season, we're doing A Nightmare on Elm Street and Hellraiser, the original, because the new one's coming out.
It is, and I hear it's great.
Sounds good.
Code, real quick, Code. Have you been watching Andor?
I have. I haven't watched this week's episode yet, though.
I need to catch up on 2 of them.
Yeah, I haven't seen any yet. And then happy anniversary. You and your wife just celebrating. You guys were on a show. You guys talked about a movie recently.
We did The Martian in A Good Year. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I just want to tout that out because I think that's really special. So. Great. And yeah, what's up? What's going on in the director's world for you? What are you in the middle of doing?
We're almost done with the Coens. We're powering through the rest of Ridley Scott. So that's why we're doing Prometheus, because it's spooky season. So we're doing Prometheus this weekend.
And isn't that in the Alien world?
Yeah, it's part of the Alien franchise.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
Rob?
Yes, you can find me at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd. You need to get Letterboxd, Justin. You can also check me out on robbiesreviews.co.uk for daily written reviews, and also my YouTube channel. Now we've been doing film reviews. We've done one on Don't Worry, Darling, and Blonde, and I'm hoping to do one on Amsterdam when I finally get round to watching that.
Ooh, can't wait.
I'm not hearing good things about Amsterdam.
I've heard they're all brilliant at it. That's all I care about.
Why is it? I don't know then. I guess people just don't like David O. Russell, which makes sense.
I'm so excited. David O. Russell, yes. Christian Bale, yes. Come on.
It's stacked with everybody.
Stacked. I'm at Worth the View movies and all the things. Check it out.
It can be worth to view movies on Letterboxd.
Nah. I have my own thing. That's how I'm able to do it here. Could you imagine but
it's a new platform where you can find new supporters.
I can't imagine writing 203 reviews because that's how many new movies I've seen this year.
You don't have to write them.
I know, but I feel obligated to, because then it's like, oh, you're just posting that you put it on here. It's like, well, isn't that what the point is? And then it's like, oh, I should also be, writing a review. But
you have to write reviews. I'll just make film lists on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to write reviews. You don't even have to rate them. You could just give it a heart if you like it.
I feel obligated to do more on that one. Whereas here at my own house, in my own notes app, no pressure. Sweet. All right, Cody, go get to work. And it was good to see you again.
Yeah.
As always. And Rob,
we'll
see you next week, partner.
Yes.
For having me on.
It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Yes. Always a pleasure. Until next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.